All right, lads, let's talk about some cricket. We got India versus England. The fourth test has just finished up at the Oval. India, of course, coming away the victors in that. Spoilers. He'll do a full match review and talk about everything that happened in this test match, considering there's one left and that happens in 4 days. We'll talk about that at the end. But Monks, do you want to kick us off with the squads? What changes did they make before they ran us into this fourth test?
Yeah, sure. So leading to the fourth test, we had a couple outs and a couple ins for both sides. I'll start off with England first. So the outs for England was Sam Curran. He was dropped, and Joss Buttler was also named out of the squad for the birth of his child. Congrats to him. And replacing them, we had Ollie Popes and Chris Wokes. And then on the Indian side, we had Mohammad Sharma and Ishant Sharma. Mohammad Shami and Ishant Sharma out, and we brought in Umesh Yadav and Shardul Thakur.
It's interesting that Butler was out for the birth of his child. In the last pod, we were thinking, he hasn't scored many runs. Bairstow can keep. He might have saved himself. I don't think he was getting dropped anyway. He's a class batsman that is probably a little bit better than Bairstow with the gloves. But yeah, congrats to him. And I imagine we'll see him back in Manchester for the fifth test.
So speaking of this fourth test, it kicked off. England did win the toss and they elected to bowl. So the Indians came out to bat first. Perhaps how did they go in that first innings?
Well, it was definitely the right call to send the Indians in. Ball was doing a little bit early on. The return of Chris Wokes.
The pitch looked like a road as well.
Yeah. He got Sharma with a real doozy, bit of extra bounce, just got onto him a bit quicker. And then Pujara, our mate, he limped to an enthralling 31 ball 4, and then he got an absolute jaffa from Anderson outswinger. It was kind of like that Kohli-esque dismissal that we've been saying, playing out at a fifth stump line and schnicking up. Speaking of the man, Virat, he came in and he was looking good. He's really started to look like the old Virat Kohli in both of these knocks, actually. He made 50. And he got caught behind, a little bit different. This one he sort of had to play, and he was just trying to not nudge it onto the leg side. A little bit unusual. It was almost like a leading edge, like a real thin one through the keeper. So Virat goes for 50. And then a little bit of a tactical weird one, I guess, with Jadeja coming up to bat 5 instead of Rahane. Rahane has been really struggling this series with the bat. I can't imagine it's too good for his confidence when you bring in Jadeja to bat 5, but maybe it had something to do with a right-hand, left-hand combination. Did you have any thoughts there, Sean?
Potentially. I think, like he suggested, the form. It just hasn't been there, and it might have been a little bit of protection just where they were. I thought Jadeja's, good. He's been throwing the bat around, and he's been getting not huge scores, but decent, putting 30 away.
Yeah.
He can definitely bat. So where they was just like try to buy some more time, maybe see off the ball a little bit more so they protect Rahane a little bit. That's what I thought it was with the less strategy. Well, more strategy in that they were protecting him. In the end, it probably didn't help his chances.
Well, it didn't really matter either way, did it? Because Jarvo only managed 10 and then Rahane came in and he was lucky not to get given out. LB, he got given out by the umpire, reviewed it, successful, but then only went on to make 14 after a really good slips catch from Moeen Ali off that man Wokes. But yeah, I don't know. If I'm Rahane and you're not in form, I don't want to be sitting in the sheds. That's the worst part of cricket, I reckon, is sitting there, especially when there's a bit going on out there. I'd rather just be out there and face a few rocks and try and get settled. But yeah, interesting. And they did the same in the second innings, which we'll get to in a sec. What about Rishabh Pant, boys? Well, we said it last pod. Pant gonna punt. He doesn't give a fuck. He got outcharged. He made 9. He faced 33 balls for his 9. So the Pujara, I guess, if you will. But yeah, 33 balls too many for him. He wanted to get a big bit of ropes, and it sort of just got the toe of the bat and went straight up. And India really looked like they were in the shitter here. And then they're starting to call him the Lord Shardul Thakur. it was actually giving me some very painful memories of the Gabba earlier in the year, because it was him and Washington DC Sundar that were slapping the Aussies around. But he goes bang. He went like Pan as well. He didn't give a fuck that they were 6 for not much, and he actually made the fastest 50 at the Oval ever. I think overtaking Surrey and Botham with a very handy 57 off just 36 balls, 7 4s and 3 6s. It's never great when when your top order sort of gets skittled, and then a number 8 comes in and just goes, "Oh, look at this, boys! It's easy." I'll tell you what, though, the technique was reminiscent of some park cricket. I reckon this was some old-fashioned slogging from Thakur, but it was effective. It was effective. Yeah, he did get dropped by Bairstow on 43 and went on to make 57. So a great cameo. They were 6 for 117. When he came in and managed to get him to 190. So going from a really dismal total to a semi-respectable one. And then once he went, they lost the last 3 for just 1 run. Jasper Bumrah, unluckily, getting a diamond duck. Boys, what do we think of the return of Chris Wokes? I think he had 4 for 55, a long time out of the side with injury. He's a class bowler.
Yeah, and I think a solid ad, because I'm pretty sure he took 3 in the second, so 7 for overall for this test match. So I think that decentish figures, especially you'd happily take 7 wickets in a series. The guy that's just come back in. Again, maybe Jimmy Anderson a little bit quiet, but he's Jimmy Anderson. He kind of set the pressure that these two, so Ollie Robinson being the other one, could come in and then actually get the biscuits, get the wickets.
For sure, yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned there, Robinson. He's having himself a really good series. He had 3 for 38 in that first innings. So England came out late there on day 1, and Burns and Hamid didn't last long. There was Jasprit Bumrah. Burns a little bit unlucky. He chopped on, and Hamid was sort of playing a blazing cut shot really close to his body, and they were 2 for not much. Joe Root comes in. You've seen this before in the series. Joe Root's batting. They're 2 for fuck all. He's just going to ton up and get him out of the shit. And he actually got bowled by Umesh Yadav for 21. It was a really nice ball. Nicked back a little bit to get his pegs. And they sent Craig Overton in as a night watchman. He got him through to day 2, and he didn't last long. Milan was looking okay for his 31. And I tell you who didn't really look settled at all was Johnny Bairstow, sort of stumbling to a 37, I think. And then he's back, boys. He was back. 3 tests in a row. Jarvo 69. He jumps the fence. He runs in off a Brett Lee-esque run-up, the old 50-stepper. And then delivers the worst bowling action I've ever seen in my fucking life, I reckon. And I've played crickets from around under 6s. Jarvo, mate, I reckon he needs to stick to doing some of these pranks back in the streets of London, because that was pathetic. And he made contact with Johnny Bairstow, bumped into him, not much in it, but it's kind of, starting to cross it. Well, I'm not condoning pitch invasions in the first place. But yeah, I think people are kind of going, "Oh, well, mate, if you're running into players, it's maybe not that funny anymore. You're coming across a dickhead."
It's only funny when you run into players and it's Andrew Simons. So
yeah.
Or that's Andrew Simons running into players.
Very famously taking out one nude spectator with a big right shoulder. Apparently, was quite a good junior rugby league player. Big Andy Simons. I would hate to be tackling it. Yeah, for sure. And there's actually some footage, if you check it out on YouTube, of him playing a Queensland Bulls game back in the day, taking out a streaker, I should say. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, look, Jarvo, you've had your 15 minutes of fame. Fucking cut it out." A lot of people are also saying, "How is this bloke getting into these grounds with the technology that we've got these days, facial recognition to get into your bloody phone? The Chinese government spying on their people, apparently, allegedly, and this bellend gets into the cricket 3 times in a row and gets on the 3 times in a row."
Oh, I guarantee the staff at the grounds, they see big Jarvo walking up, they're going, "Oh, here he is. Excellent. Here's the red carpet. In you go."
You reckon it's an inside job?
No, could be.
Yeah.
Jarvo's the old sexy chick trying to get into the nightclub, just straight to the front of the line. Come in the back door, love. No worries, no cover entry, straight in.
That's it. He's got the hookups.
So what happened to Jarvo in the end of this?
Say again?
What happened to Jarvo after
he actually got arrested this time. We're trying to look up what is happening with him. I don't know if they're actually starting to press something a bit more serious. He did get a life ban from Headingley in the last test and quite a handsome fine. We're trying to work out before if his YouTube views and subscribers might actually be worth paying off his fines. Maybe a little bit in this. We might have to start thinking about some pitch invasions to get the subbies up for when the Ashes roll around, boys. I'll put my hand up. What do you reckon?
Yeah, Pep's in a mankini, the big giraffe going across the oval.
Oh, we definitely don't need hundreds of millions of people doing that.
I'm sure they already have somewhere.
Mankini, mate. It looks like Moe and Ali's beard down there.
Front or back?
Anyway, to finish up.
So headlines are he was arrested on suspicion of assault.
So touching a player. God, that was my point. I think the other stuff's harmless fun, but touching a player and then also getting to the pitch, like touching the pitch, I think that's a big no-no, and they will definitely come down a bit hard on him.
And full caveat, we don't condone the first two invasions.
No.
Anyway, let's talk about some cricket. And that man that unfortunately I guess referenced in referring to me and a mankini storming the MCG on Boxing Day. Moeen Ali, he was actually playing some shots. He looked pretty good before he skied a slog sweep off Jadeja. He goes for 35. And then enter Ollie Pope, a man who had a bunch of pressure coming into him, into this game rather. Recalled after a very poor series against New Zealand and that tour of India earlier in the year. He had a really good start to his career. He consistently was scoring 50s and had a ton, and then just nothing for like 20 innings. So a lot of pressure for him coming in, and he made the most of it and made a really hard-fought 81. He got a little bit unlucky chopping on and missed out on his second test 100 there, but that's a huge confidence boost for him. Coming back into the side after seriously about 20 innings, of not doing too much. So that'll be a huge weight off his shoulders. And then into that man, Chris Wokes. Is there anything the bloke can't do? He smacked a quick 50, a really good return to Test cricket. He had a 35-run partnership with Jimmy Anderson, in which Anderson scored 1. So I think I've had a few of those in park cricket before with my mate Rohit. If you're listening, I'll just stand down the non-strike and they go, "Oh, geez, that was a good shot. Yep, that was a good one. Yep, good partnership. This. Yep,
that's it."
I want to make a point here, Peps. Like looking at the scorecard for the English team, the top 5 scored 58. So you think in England, the top order, they've had an absolute shit show. And then the bottom half's coming out and done, what's that quick math, 232 there's a few extras in that, of course, but 230 odd from your bottom half of your scorecard. That's a pretty good out, especially Pope and Wokes being the big numbers in there to kind of get them with a reasonable score and actually the lead after the first innings have been completed.
Yeah, and I was going to go to it at the end of the pod, but I think I might mention it now. The series stats so far, you've got Root way out ahead of anyone with 564 runs at 94 and 3 tons. And then the next 4 highest run scorers are all Indians before you get down to Bairstow and Burns. Burns and Hameed in the second innings, we'll get to it in a little bit, showed that they do have a bit here, but we've been harping on it all series. Outside of Joe Root, this English batting lineup, it doesn't instill any fear into the opposition, does it?
Where does Bairstow usually bat? He's batting was keeping here, so he was batting right at the end.
I think he was batting 6 with the. I think, well, yeah, he would have been batting 6 if it wasn't for Overton, the night watchman.
So Burns is the only opener that features in that list, and he's only averaging 26. But you can see that middle order is doing the top to middle order is doing absolutely nothing for England at the moment.
Yeah. Outside of Joe Root, we saw Milan look okay in his recall in the last test. Wasn't really able to follow that up. But yeah, it's pretty slim pickings at the moment for English bats that aren't named Joe Root.
And not to the same degree, but in the first innings, India's top order was fairly slow off the mark as well. So could have been a bit of the condition of the pitch probably played into it a little bit, I guess.
It was a weird deck, wasn't it? It was doing it early on, and I agree with you there. I think that it looked like the toughest batting conditions were kind of day 1 and day 2, and then it really sort of firmed and flattened out. And I was saying to you boys last night when we were watching the first session late here in on the east coast of Australia, I was thinking this is one of the best fifth day decks I've ever seen. I was really quite confident that England could get home, and we'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, an unusual one in that it sort of flattened out as the game went on, rather than going the other way.
Yeah, besides the foot marks, they looked like there wasn't a mark on it. Like it looked pristine.
And those foot marks, unless it was sort of Jadeja bowling to a lefty, that they're not doing anything out there, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, we still have to talk about the Indian second innings.
So England, just to interrupt you, England finished up 290 in their first innings.
Yeah. So they were about 100 ahead, and right on top of the Test match until this really nice second innings by the Indians. KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma got them off to a good start with an 83-run partnership, and then a big 150-run partnership between Rohit Sharma and Pujara. And Rohit finally gets that monkey off his back. He's got an overseas ton. He scored a man of the match winning performance, 127. Batted for 6 hours there, and really turned this game on its head. And it was a big knock on him that he couldn't bat in the Test arena, at least outside of India. Obviously, one of the most decorated Indian top order one-day batsmen of all time. So yeah, a really good knock for him personally. Getting that monkey off the bat, but also a really vital timing of it for when his team really needed him. Rahane's woeful series continues. He got a duck off Wokes, and Pant got some runs. And I'm getting ahead of myself. The big man. The big man. Yeah. This was, again, it was really like the first innings. And I think I messaged you boys. I said, Kohli's on here. Like, he was playing that glorious cover drive, like effortless cover drives on the up. Like, I was going, oh, geez, this is 2019 Kohli here. And then, yeah, just hauled out in the 40s. So still, continuing this very long run of not going on to score 100. But he's definitely showing flashes. He doesn't look like a man that's really frazzled at the moment. He just looks like a man that's not going on.
Yeah. And I want to make a point here, Peps. At this point as well, when they lost Kohli, they're about 250 runs. So they had about 150 run lead. I thought they were done. I was like, with Rahane, Pant and the way they've gone into Jadeja, like these guys could chip in, but I thought they've lost their captain. The England will put them to sword here. They'll have 200, 250 to chase, and they'll do this easy. Next minute.
Yeah, the Indian tail wagging. This is an Esky curse. I remember at the start of this series, I was going, geez, this Indian tail can't bat. Like if the top order fails, they'll be no good. I hadn't considered that the Lord Shardul Thakur would be in here, just scoring half centuries at will. And Pant actually getting a half century. He's been under the radar a little bit this series in not making runs, so that was good from him. And then 25 odd from Yadav and Bumrah, and yeah, that's a massive contribution from the tail, and turns out it contributed to be a game-winning contribution.
So what was their lead going in England coming in?
368, I think, was the lead. The English openers actually started off really good in that afternoon session on day 4. 0 for 77 at stumps with Hamid and Burns there, and then it just set up a cracking fifth day that, I lost a little bit of sleep over last night, and luckily it didn't go the whole way. I watched until about Root got out. I'll be honest, but let's go through it as it.
Yeah. So 290 to get with a day left.
All day. So
both teams could win. Draws in play, like it was completely poised for whoever could win. So
the ideal scenario going into a 5th day of Test cricket, the sun was shining, which is in England that's half of what you need as it is, and then you had all 3 results on the table. It probably at the start of the day, probably you might have fancied England or the draw, and then after lunch, India just cleaned them up. So let's start with that morning session. You score it to England. They only lost the 1 wicket. They weren't really looking to score fast, and I don't mind that. Like you bat out to lunch. They've only lost 1. The idea being that the only results you're going to get are a draw or an England win. Didn't turn out to go quite that way, but Burns got to 50, and then he went out, and Hamid, what did he get? 63 off 193 balls. So a really hard working 63 there for Hamid. And there was actually, I don't know if this ball did much from Jadeja. He kind of just played all around it, sort of pitching just outside leg, that he was sort of patting a few away. And this one, he just played all around it, and he heard the death rattle as it got the top of his off peg, and then it triggered a mighty collapse. That Milan run out, geez, you don't want to see that on a 5th day in Test cricket.
Real unlucky.
Yeah, I think that kind of showed the intent from the English side. Like they weren't looking to score runs. They weren't ready. Like Milan wasn't backing up, ready for this, and they caught him through, and he was gone. Like it kind of showed where England were and how the psyche of where the team was.
And it's a good point there, Sean, because there was a bit of conjecture. Oh, was there a run there? Well, yeah, if Milan's backing up and looking to rotate the strike and get quick singles, I would have run it. There wasn't the intent there. It didn't seem.
Yeah, it seemed like they were playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah.
Which do see, and then usually when you start thinking about playing not to lose, you fall in a heap.
Yeah,
a bit more cutthroat, I think. When the English team lacked it in this one.
I'll tell you what, as well. I don't care if you're playing for win, draw, loss, or a bloody nudie run. When Jasprit Bumrah bowls that spell after lunch, that was up there with one of the best, pace spells in a long time. What do we got there? He got Pope and Bairstow, but like in swinging Yorkers, just unplayable kind of shit. And then when Jadeja got Moeen Ali with a little bit of deception in flight, it was up to Joe Root. And I was still kind of thinking, well, if there's anyone that can just go out there and just save a draw here, it might be that man Joe Root. And then the Lord Thakur, he barely gets a bowl, the poor bloke. They pick him at 8, and he just that's why he's so wild with the bat. He goes, I got to get me time in the middle here. But he got the big wicket of Joe Root, and that was when I went to bed. I thought, oh well, there goes this Test match. This one will go to the Indians, and that's how it turned out.
Yeah, Root being their back, losing him, they fell apart. And
big time. Shout out to Umesh Yadav. He was good in his return to Test cricket, 3 for 60 there in the second innings. And Bumrah, how about he only got two wickets, unreal nuts. But 2 for 27 off 22 overs. Could you imagine bowling 22 overs and going for 27? That's 2 overs for me.
Yeah, well, Jadeja bowled 30 as well, went for 50, had 2 wickets. So they used their spin a bit more as well. And I just want to finish that session after lunch. So England went from 36 balls. They had 6 runs in total and had 4 wickets. So it was
almighty collapse. Yeah.
Did you see?
Really good viewing for the neutral viewer. I was about a tick after tick after 10:30, I think, local time for us. And you know, the wife's sitting there she's getting a little bit sleepy, and I'm starting to get tired. But then I'm like, oh, geez, there's another one. Oh, and it was probably a 20-minute period that just turned the game on its head.
That's it. Did you catch Overton's wicket as well?
Was that the Coley, the send off with what's he doing?
No,
the trumpet,
was
army trumpet.
I don't know about that, but off his elbow into the wickets. Bowled by Yadav. Yeah, he's real unlucky with that one.
Imagine copping Yadav to the elbow.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, it was after the root wicket, wasn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
The trumpet.
Yeah.
Coley playing it
I
up
think so.
with the bum.
Just giving some stick to the Barmy Army. Tell you what, when you go to cricket here and the Barmy Army's been singing for 4 hours, I got a bit sick of them too. So
true.
So to finish up on Bumrah and his excellent spell, he's also got his 100th wicket, the fastest Indian pace bowler to get 100 wickets as well, only from 24 tests, and really on pace to cement himself as one of the best Indian pace bowlers of all time. So
he's well on the way to that. Yeah, if he can stay healthy, he wears 93 because he's born in 93. So he's 28. Well, look, if you can do Jimmy Anderson, but Jimmy Anderson's maybe not the benchmark. Look, if he's got a good 7 years left in him, he'd definitely put up some big numbers. I was having a look at that list of fastest to 100 wickets. The record's 16 tests, and it's from like 120 years ago. So I don't think that's going anytime soon. But then there was a bunch of blokes on 17, and one of them was actually Yasir Shah, the leg spinner from Pakistan. And then, that little caveat was he was the fastest Indian quick to get to 100 wickets, because all of Jadeja, Ashwin, and Kumble all did it quickly as well. So India renowned for producing world-class spinners. But this is probably, in watching that spell, you're just going, he's up there with one of the best quicks getting around in the world at the moment. Yeah. So if he can keep it up, might go down in history as one of the best Indian quicks ever.
So I guess we're going to talk about where to from here. So the next test starts in 4 days at Manchester. England must win to retain. They can overall the series. They can only draw the series. They can't win outright. They will retain if they win, being 2-2. So India well poised to win this series.
Yep.
So India will first won the trophy. Well, this would be their first win since 2007.
That's for the Patowdy Trophy. So the one that occurs between India and England in England. So they haven't won that one in the Virat Kohli era.
They've only played for that trophy twice as well from 2007. So not that many opportunities.
No, it's 3, isn't it?
This would be the third.
This is the third.
Oh,
England won it in 2011 and have held it since then.
11, 14 and 18. I think this is the 4th. I'll have a look at that.
All right.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was second.
So if we talk about the teams, the English team, I don't think they're going to find magically bats anywhere to help them out, which is probably their biggest problem. Has been noticed, Jimmy Anderson, though, as well, his pace is slowly decreasing. Like every test, it's over, like his average is just slowly creeping down. So whether his legs are starting to, he is an old man and you can't really.
The fact that he can play one test at his age is unbelievable, especially with the short turnarounds as well. So this is the 4th one since then. 2011, 14, and 18. England winning all of those. So they won 3 on the trot.
They keep by the stats.
It's hard in this game, boys. We're working it out. You can have the internet right in front of you and, still make the balls of it at some stage. Yeah, Anderson, I want to see the teams, actually. I think it'll be really interesting to see if they play him. It is a must-win game. Maybe they say, just try and do your best here for us, Jim, and then, you can have a rest and start thinking about the Ashes. But they do have the bowling stocks, I suppose, to bring back Sam. Like obviously Sam Curran's not Jimmy Anderson, but
that is the problem.
Yeah, and I don't know how bad that Mark Wood's injury was, but yeah, I say they play him. They just flog a dead horse, see how he goes, and then get him on ice for the Ashes. To be honest, looking forward, I know we are Australians. We've got to talk about it for a sec. I don't see him bothering us too much in our conditions. When that Dukes ball's hooping around and swinging a foot. No one can play Jimmy Anderson, but he doesn't have a great record down here. So I'm not too concerned about him. I think the guys that generate a bit more pace and bounce, your Wokeses, Robinson can get up there, and the big one's Jofra Archer if he can be healthy for the Ashes.
I just checked as well for Broad, he's still out hurt, so he's been ruled out for the rest of the series. He can't play in the last one. He was the only other one I could think of. Not sure where England go to from here. I think we've pointed it out. Root and Jimmy Anderson, that's the backbone, and they need guys to support them to put them in positions where they could potentially win. Kind of like where they did this game. They had a chance to win this game, but of course couldn't really capitalize on the chances they had. And India on the flip side did, and then put this one away.
And it's a testament to Test cricket and how beautiful it is, all the the nuances to it, and how important each little bit of every session is. At lunch on day 5, again, this is anyone's game. And then in a 6 over period, it just went from okay, England could win this to okay, they could bat out a draw to okay, India's got this in the bag, and it happened in 6 overs, 15, 20 minutes, turned the game on its head. Great, and for a neutral viewer, great to watch.
So the Oval, I think, a little bit more renowned of the England pitches to turn a bit with spin, and of course there was chat about would they pick Jadeja over Ashwin. I think in the end it probably didn't matter too much. Jadeja bowled pretty well with his 30 odd. No special spinner, of course. Well, they had Ali. Sorry.
Yeah.
They had special spinner, but they bowled Root a little bit more towards the end. Then he did pick up a wicket. My knowledge of English pitches, especially Manchester, is not great. Is it one that would they look to maybe include someone like Jack Lynch in the side, or Ashwin as another question, or they'll stick with Jadeja?
I think they'll just go with the one spinner again. So Manchester up in the north, very similar conditions to what we saw in Leeds, and where that ball was hooping and the spinners not getting much of a look in at all. I don't know if they'll be contemplating the weather. Perhaps I haven't seen the forecast, but I'd be surprised if 2 spinners come into either of these sides. I think it'll be a 4 quick combination for both. And testament to India, you got a bloke in Ashwin who's got over 400 Test wickets and scored 5 tons. Some people are saying, oh well, Jadeja's batting at 5. That's why he's getting a gig, but Ashwin's no slouch with the bat either. So yeah, it's pretty incredible that Ashwin's not getting a look into this team. I don't know. I'm thinking back to that exchange between Tim Payne and Ravi Ashwin in our summer of cricket when Tim Payne said, "Well, at least my teammates like me," to Ravi Ashwin. I don't know if there's maybe some kind of team dynamic there. They seem to definitely get around Jadu. So I don't know, just spitballing there. But I think it's horses for courses, boys. You got to pick your best 11 for the conditions, and if that means sitting out on a talent like a Ravi Ashwin, then so be it.
So for India, besides, we think they'll stick with the bowlers. Batting wise, I think they might change out Rahane. It kind of makes sense. He's been really poor, and I was just trying to have a look at who they've brought with them.
Well, they got. They got Mayank Agarwal there, who typically bats like opens or bats 3, but there's no reason why he couldn't bat a little bit further down the order. Or Surya Kumar Yadav could be a really good shout. Obviously, seen a lot of him in the IPL and in the shorter formats. A really devastating bat. Maybe Rahane. He's had plenty of opportunities in this in this Test series and has done nothing, which is very unusual, especially for us being Australians and seeing Rahane do so well in Test series down here. He's standing for Coley as the captain when Coley went home to be there for the birth of his child in our summer. So a well-respected senior member of the team. I'm going to say I think they stick with him for this one, but I think he's on thin ice.
I was saying Gill was probably the only other one. I think.
Oh, should be Gill, yeah. So, mate, we talk about depth. Like that's 3 cracking bats that they've got. That have just been net batsmen and helping out with throwdowns. I'm sure the Aussies wouldn't mind having depth like either of these sides. We also in the other way, we've spoken about how injury ravished England is in their bowling stocks, and losing Ben Stokes, arguably the best all rounder in the world. They've gone in underdone, and it's showing. And us Aussies are watching this going, you beauty. If this is the team that rocks up for this Ashes, it's going to be a lot of weight on the shoulders of Joe Root.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what squad, like how many people they bring out as well within the squad, considering our strict quarantine. Well, quarantine. The quarantine regulations flying into the country, spend the 2 weeks, because they can't just, if they lose someone, fly someone over and be available for the next test. He's going to have to do his 14 days, so they have to kind of plan all that beforehand. So, yeah. We'll have to wait and see how all that goes. We've still got a lot of cricket between now and then with the World Cup coming up. So
plenty to keep us
interested.
There was a big lull earlier in the year where we didn't have much big cricket after the shutdown or the suspension of the IPL. It was we've obviously got our footy codes back home, and the basketball was going in that, but. It's good to pretty much from now till January, the cricket calendar is stacked. So can't wait, and we'll pump out a few more of these, boys. It's always good to have a chat about it, and share our views and talk some shit.
Definitely. Well, that I think will do us. We will be back next week to wrap up the 5th test and the result. We will find out whether India wins or England retains. We will cover all that and all the news coming from the test match. Thank you, boys. It's been excellent as always.
Thank you.
Chat soon.
Talk to you in a few days for the regular pod, and next week to wrap up the 5th.
That's it.
Catch you, fellas.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye now.